Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Marvel Retrospective. I am Travis Snail.
I am the Adam Hartcaster, Dylan Muss.
Totally forgot to think of a good nickname for this. Wow.
Shows how he cares about you people.
Did you at least think of a bad nickname for this?
A bad nickname?
Yeah.
I am the Where's My Bird? Taylor Field.
That was not bad. That accent, right?
Yeah. Almost as good as Mickey Rourke.
Almost. Even better.
Well, that you shouldn't say Excelsior for, but you can say Excelsior for this podcast. Yes, the Marvel Retrospective. We are reviewing every MCU movie leading up to Infinity War, except for after Ant-Man, because we reviewed those already. You can go back and check that out. But every month, sometimes we drop one, sometimes we drop two. We're reviewing MCU in order. This month, we're reviewing Iron Man 2. Someone go, because I was going to talk more, but my throat is not clear at all.
Yeah, Iron Man 2, this is a fun movie, and I think this is going to be an interesting one to talk about.
It was a fun movie?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was. I think it actually is.
I think there's some really good stuff in this movie, and there's also a lot of bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it was like an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
Whereas, we watched the first one a couple weeks ago, and honestly, there were some parts of that movie I was kind of, a little bit bored. I thought it was a little slow. But I think this movie had a pretty good pace. Generally.
Do you like this one better than the first one?
I don't think so. Honestly, I'd put them pretty close.
Wow.
Really. I'd probably give a slight edge to the first one.
Okay.
But I don't know, I think I had a lot of fun with this movie.
Okay.
Maybe not a lot of fun, but I had a decent amount of fun.
A lot of fun. So much fun.
Yeah.
I just want to show that reminder that I learned from what you mentioned on the first Iron Man 1 retrospective was that this is the first Iron Man now that Disney has taken the reins over.
Yeah,
right?
it was the first Disney Marvel Studios collab.
Mm-hmm. I could feel a change in the tone and atmosphere of the film compared to the first one. Now knowing that it was Disney's they took over, just rewatching it definitely felt like there was a bit of a shift in the atmosphere of the film, I found. But
I don't think I noticed that. Actually.
I agree, but I don't think it's too much. I think it's still more similar to Iron Man 1 than the Disney stuff, but
yeah. But I mean, for me, I remember, going way back, so that was a good throw. It was my first job, and I remember I was I got all this money now as this kid, and I hate to admit it, but I was a shopaholic. And so I went...
You still are.
No.
The guy who buys the Great Wall just to get Mr. Bean a bit cheaper.
So...
You got suckered twice.
Yeah, that wasn't a real deal. They're trying to sell a great fucking wall.
Black Friday.
I went into HMB with some money, and I was I really want to get a movie, and I saw Iron Man 2. It was right on DVD. I'm this is a great movie, I hear, so...
So you also didn't see this in the theaters?
I didn't see this in the theaters.
What was the first, I know I'm taking you off track, what was the first MCU movie you actually saw in theaters? Because so far, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor or Cap, and I don't think you saw Thor.
I saw Thor in theaters.
Okay, so that was the first one you saw.
What came out before Thor, though?
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2?
So Thor was for sure the first one you saw. I know that from...
Yeah, it would have been, because this is really... I started working at the movie theater, so it might have been Thor. Thor might have been the first one I saw.
I like how he just said it was Thor, and now he's might have been Thor. I don't know.
Well, you probably got some anticipation built from the post-credits scene, right? It probably gets you ready for Thor,
Post-credits scene?
Of this movie, yeah. Do you remember what it is?
It was... Don't tell me. Oh my god. Oh!
The one where Coulson dies. I thought I was just...
What, in Avengers?
Yeah. No. Just continue. I'll get to that when it comes to that.
So yeah,
give you an hour to try and remember.
Okay.
I thought it was a nice segue, but then he just didn't remember.
No.
So I went into HMV, I was Iron Man 2, I'm gonna buy that, and then a sweet deal where I get the movie. I also get the soundtrack for half off.
And you just had to buy the Great Wall first?
And this video game.
And the video game. Iron Man 1.
And this vitamin water from 5 years ago.
He's been waiting.
One of my best, it's the DVD and the digital copy. One of my best purchases, and I rewatched that so many times.
Best purchases. It's not Blu-ray though.
No, Blu-ray wasn't really hitting it off yet. It didn't hit.
I own this on Blu-ray, so I think that's a lie.
When did you buy it?
Same day you did.
Yeah, when it came out.
Oh.
Yeah, I bought this. Yeah,
Does have a digital copy?
I have an Iron Man Blu-ray.
Okay, well, actually, you haven't actually mentioned what you think of this movie so far.
I think
It's been like
Classic Geek First Review.
Yeah,
I think
this was a little while there.
This movie is awesome. I think it made so many kind of nods and introductions leading into like this whole new world here, and it really got me excited. It had, when we get to it, I'll mention like my favorite scene in this whole movie, but it's one of my favorite Iron Man scenes that I've ever seen.
Let's take a guess. Is it
At a
for
racetrack.
me? Yours is the racetrack?
That's my guess for him.
No.
I
I know. My guess is it the Iron Man War Machine team up when they kill all the drones together. Yeah. Just because you know why? When I saw it in the theaters, I was like, man,
Taylor was
when I saw this in the theaters, that was like the most Transformery that movie had felt. Like when Whiplash comes down and he has.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I thought this is badass.
No, I'm not saying it was bad. Like I still enjoyed it. Like Transformers action is good when you can see it. Most times it's just metal moving around, so it's like, what the fuck am I watching? It's just like a painting.
A lot of metal.
But yeah, I just that feels like a Transformers moment, and that's how I knew you would be like, oh, this moment.
Oh shit!
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry you're wrong, Dylan.
No,
The racetrack is definitely a good scene.
That's definitely in your top 5 favorite
I would
scenes?
say in Iron Man 2.
Do you have anything more to add?
That's a great movie, and I'm just like so excited to talk about this.
Okay, well then I'll get to play the role of like the Incredible Hulk type of person. I don't think it is a bad movie. You can call me a fanboy if you want. I don't think the Marvel MCU has a single bad movie, and I don't. Well, you may think Incredible Hulk, but even like I love that movie. Go back and listen to all our reviews. It's a minor spoiler, but even Thor: Dark World, I think is the lowest of the low. But never do I think it's a bad movie. I always think there's good enough stuff in there and good moments for me to like it. This is the exact same as that. It's just a little bit above Thor: Dark World for me. This is not as bad, but it's I kind of compare it to BVS, where there's lots of stuff I like, but it's very choppy. It's very strangely edited with all the characters, and it's a movie that is primarily a lot of setup. It's like 50% Iron Man story, but then 50% like, oh, we're getting ready for Avengers. And I think, to you through that as a pro, I think it works for the most part, but I think like Black Widow is quite like hamstringed in this movie. She's just kind of like, oh, we're gonna throw her in there because we need to set her up. Rhodey's addition to the movie and this whole plot line of just always reminding Tony that like he can't do this alone for too long. It's like, we get it, like he's gonna team up with 5 other people. Like the amount of times it's not as bad as it may out to be, but just the amount of times they have to like wink wink nudge nudge, like you can't do this forever, like okay, we get it, people are coming. Right. The stuff I like about this, I think before last year with Jack Sparrow was in this category, Hugh Jackman's in this category, we talk about with Punisher review, and I feel like Ryan Reynolds will be there too. Robert Downey Jr. is a person that even in these or not even bad movie, but just like a decent alright movie, I'm always gonna have a good time watching him because he still feels like Tony Stark. He's having a good time, and that's why like we always don't talk about him enough, I feel, but he is really one of the best parts of the MCU because he's always on. He always just is. Even just scenes like the Senate scene that I'm not a big fan of. He's good in it, just some of his one-liners.
Yeah.
He's great. I guess we'll get into it. That's me. Overall, I enjoy the movie, but I feel like I do have a lot of negatives, and I guess I won't give like a score or anything yet, but I don't think it's like, I think I like it enough to give it something positively a score, but I do, when I try to think of stuff I like about it, I think the action's better in this than the first one. I do like the War Machine Iron Man thing, I'll give you that. I do actually really like that scene, and the first Iron Man, the action's just kind of meh. Tony's still great. Pepper is still good in this. Their romance is good for the most part. I'll shout something out at the end that I don't like. I really like Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell. I think he's phenomenal. He got a few one-liners, and I really wish they'd bring him back.
I was kind of like 50-50 on him.
Yeah.
I think,
and he was, remember, he was one of the contenders to be Iron Man, so you can kind of see it, but like, just little stuff, it always cracked me up when you just call him Anthony. Like, I thought he was really well-written character and perfect actor. So I think there's character moments in this I like, and action moments, but I think the story is pretty weak. I think it starts strong, but then kind of dwindles as it continues to go on, so, yeah.
Let's just hop right into it.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was strange and kind of a question for the super nerd over here, is this the only like comic book movie that's like the opening scene is just like the villain like making some crazy device or like getting ready? Because I was kind of surprised by that because I can't remember another DC or Marvel or X-Men or whatever, any of those movies that have just started with a villain like brooding or making shit.
Well, you'll probably feel a little dumb when I say about Spider-Man: Homecoming. Remember of Vulture? The whole opening is like how he they take the business away from him and they find alien things. I don't think it's as common, but I'd have to take a look. But I feel like it does happen, and it's probably more in times like this, like probably sequels where it's happened, where like these people are getting stuff together, and that's where when I brought up Homecoming, I was gonna bring that up too because I have that it's very similar to Iron Man, right? Like they do even the same shot of him like welding the metal and everything like that. And I felt like the way they set up is he was going to be a much bigger character, and he's a big character as far as like his presence, but I feel like after the racetrack thing happens, he's gone for he's there, but he's not the like opposing threat. It's other people, it's other situations, it's Rhodes, it's Justin Hammer.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of problems with this villain. I think it's like definitely one of their weakest, and it just doesn't really fit into the movie very well either. And like obviously, I bring that up, like that opening scene, because you have to consider like pacing of a villain, when you're going to put them into the movie, and when you're going to add backstory, or where you're going to have them in this movie.
Yeah.
When you're going to have him connecting with Justin Hammer's character and they're playing together. But like I feel like there's some moments, like I was watching this with Tyler, and there was just like a
Briggs.
Yeah.
Where is he?
Beyond me, I think he's playing video games, so he could have been here.
He's playing Iron Man too.
Anyway, yeah, there was some scene where what is this super villain name, by the way? Does he have one? I know they don't say it in this movie, but
it's
he's a
Whiplash technically,
Whiplash?
but they took they combined Whiplash and Crimson Dynamo. Crimson Dynamo was a Russian.
Crimson Dynamo?
Yeah, he was a Russian villain that was like a red big Iron Man, almost similar to Ironmonger, and then Whiplash was this guy with the electronic whips, and then they put them together.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go with Whiplash because that's quicker.
Yeah, everyone calls him that. Yeah.
But yeah, like there was some scene later in the movie where he pops up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this character is here. Like I haven't seen him in like 40 minutes or something like that.
Well, I feel like he's a huge part. Like credits happen, and I think they give him a decent backstory that they get into a little bit, but they just kind of forget like the whole idea.
I didn't like it because it didn't seem like it had any like it. It was just like they said these things to get him out of the way so that you would think the character has depth, but I feel like they didn't really build it like emotionally at all. They simply just like put it in there to say, oh, this character has depth.
Oh yeah,
right?
No, I agree.
Just check off that box.
Yeah,
this movie can ship now because it has a workable villain. Like no, it's not a good villain, right?
Yeah, I think the backstory was good. I just don't know, like they didn't execute it fully. Like I like the idea of Tony's dad like exported deported his father, and his father was part of the creations, and he never got any credit. To me, that's a solid villain backstory of, if you look at him from his perspective, his dad's this brilliant creator who gets no credit, who's dying on his deathbed, like in this crap shit hole. So that works. I agree with you. I think it's the carry through that doesn't, you feel that emotion. And I'll throw it over to Taylor in a second, but I feel like, so that happens, and then we kind of get him skulking around for a little while, which is fine, because that's what a villain does.
Yeah.
And the racetrack happens, and that scene in the prison happens with Tony, and I like those two scenes a lot back to back, and I think it's a good setup of like, okay, he almost takes Iron Man out, and I love his speech about like, if you make God believe, people will cease to believe, right? Because up in this point, it's all about like, oh, no one can stop Iron Man, and yeah, maybe Whiplash didn't, but it showed, hey, you could try, like, it's possible to stop him, right? And I liked that. And then I think the second he breaks out of prison, he's just meddling around with machines and whatnot. But I feel like the first half is like we're going toward an interesting film.
Yeah,
like, he's talking about philosophy.
Well, I think there's so much potential. Like for me, the big thing is you have Justin Hammer and you have Whiplash as like these two villains who kind of team up, but obviously it's kind of like a one-sided thing. But I think it like had a lot of potential because Justin Hammer's kind of like this character who isn't intimidating in the sense of like being a big scary villain with big power, but he just has a lot of resources, he has a lot of money, obviously he just like can make all these drones, and he has the ability to like set Whiplash up to get all this equipment and fuck up Tony Stark. And I like that he isn't like super sinister, like he's kind of just like a goofy funny guy, and there's a couple scenes where he breaks a little bit and he's like going a little mad, but it works.
And it's more about jealousy for him, right? He just hates that everyone looks at him as like the joke compared to Tony.
And they set that up really well, and it like that's why like I think like half the time I liked his dialogue and his introduction, so that worked enough for me. But the problem is I think since you have that character who's more like an intellectual villain or he's almost like a competitor, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And then so if you combine that with someone who like a villain who is big and scary and can mess up Iron Man, I think that could work really well as like a source of opposition. But since that Whiplash character was so weak, I think that is a huge missed opportunity because it could have been a really good dynamic between the two of them.
Well, and you never feel like Justin Hammer is really a threat at all because Whiplash is constantly bossing him around, not taking orders.
Yeah, he just doesn't give a shit.
And then how does Hammer's story end? He just like gets arrested in backstage.
Yeah,
it's really anticlimactic.
So
it's so bad, and that's what I mean. Like that's why I think the first half of this movie, I don't know if I'd say great, but I think it was leading up to something that could have been great, and then it just kind of plummets and like and I don't know if that's because they felt like they had to do the Avengers stuff, if they had this random fucking story about like the blood toxicity, which I think is not good rewatchability as more and more I see this movie because we just take such a left turn at some point. But before we talk about them more, Taylor, villains, what did you think about them? I imagine you probably love somebody or both of them. Whiplash and your fucking Halloween costume.
I really enjoyed Ivan Vanko. Mm-hmm. I think he was pretty cool. You guys made a lot of points. I talked a lot about some good facts, but also point out some negatives. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think how he was introduced. I thought
some facts. Drop the facts.
Yeah, it's a fact. Bad villain. Someone out there, Mickey Rourke's like it's not a bad villain.
Great villain.
He still talks in that accent.
Best MCU.
Him and Marvel actually hate each other, by the way.
Yeah,
they did not have a good relationship after this movie. Yeah, apparently they did not. Whether it was him, the director, they did not work well. So, yeah.
Oh wow, but I mean, I thought he delivered in the movie. You know, I like what you pointed out was just his scene at the beginning of just a villain kind of scheming and everything. I thought that was really cool.
Would you count the Joker in The Dark Knight when the opening scene of the movie is the bank heist with the Joker?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
There's
another one. I'll keep thinking of it.
Yeah, I'm just asking you because I just couldn't remember any. But
Hulk 2 is gonna be all Blonsky. Hulk coming back.
Just pumping iron.
Yeah, as Abomination though.
Yeah.
You don't need to do this.
But I think.
Why did you like him so much though?
Why I like him so
because you
much?
said you really liked him, and you've said
because
stuff
I feel like he didn't even really talk that much, and I didn't think he was intimidating.
He didn't have to talk much. It was his actions and the way he kind of delivered his scenes for me. It was a sense also of not just really getting to know a lot about his backstory, which they did show us, at least for me, but just knowing that he was the equivalent to Tony Stark in a completely different way. I mean, you can look at Justin Hammer as being the equivalent to Stark in the sense, they both own their own companies. Mm-hmm. There's Hammer Industries and Stark Industries, and they're both young, rich guys. But at the end of the day,
better names either.
Yeah.
So name industry.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Tony can actually build his own stuff. Justin Hammer can't. That's why I like.
And you have that father connection too with both.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I like Ivan more in the sense because they both had their fathers build up this company or build the arc reactor in that sense, and they both were very capable in their fields, and they both I feel like technological wise and thinking they were very similar in certain aspects. Mm-hmm. And I think that just kind of shows a lot more depth for Tony Stark at the same time because he realizes wow, this is it's like looking in a mirror of what could have gone wrong for himself.
And I think you're 100% right, and I think that's what happens in that prison scene where they talk. Yeah. I think that's great, but then that doesn't happen again for the rest of the movie. The next time they meet is in that big fight at the end, and I think it's the most, for me, this was a moment when I was just starting to, 2006 was when I started liking adult films, not big adult films, like films.
He's talking about porn.
Yeah, no, films that were talking, not just action, not just a lot of, not just, it was more about, I always used the part, story and character. So, from 2006 to 2010, I felt myself maturing as a film goer. Not to the same extent I am now. I'm looking at stuff, but I remember this being one of the movies where I watched for the first time, feeling, man, that final fight was so fucking bullshit. This was so lame. Whiplash jumps down and he's there for 30 seconds, and they put their hands together and it's over. But that's all right. Before you go, that's the only time we see them back together is that scene. And I think with more interactions with Tony and Ivan, we could have got better scenes. And Mickey Rourke is actually a good actor when he wants to be, but the problem was we never saw that again. It was just him doing action stuff, and you can't build any more upon that, right? Talking about Dark Knight, the Joker always had an action scene and then development action, where Ivan, it's just some development, but then it's all action. It's I can't get anything more, but I agree, it was good.
Well, that's where you can have you can have a good villain who doesn't really have any backstory as long as they're really cool or just interesting in the way they look or the powers they have. But that's where I like also found that character boring because I didn't like either of his big fight scenes. Like he has that one at the racetrack and he loses to like a car. And like he doesn't do anything. He just like slices.
I like the racetrack.
I like the idea of it,
Yeah.
but I think it was really boring. And then I actually hated that ending fight scene. I love the set piece, and I think they really could have done some cool things with that background. It would have looked so cool. But instead, yeah, it's exactly what you said. Like he just hops down,
quick.
he whips them,
Yeah.
and then they do the team thing. I like that they set up that
Yeah.
explosion. Like that's solid movie trivia. I don't know what word to use, but then like the whole fight is just them.
A setup they would call, like
Yeah,
a joke.
exactly.
You set up and then you pay it off.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm looking for. But yeah, like trivia.
Great movie trivia.
You know what I was going.
I know what you're.
But like yeah, even before that, like it's just a bunch of drones who are like apparently made of like plastic. Like these things are fucking awful. Like they're useless. And yeah, it's just War Machine like shooting them and Iron Man just like.
Do you not
shooting
like that
lasers
part
at
with the
them.
drones? So I like that for showing how cool
I was
they are.
super
though.
disappointed
Okay,
because
fair enough.
I mean those drones are boring and yeah you can have like your cannon fodder and it can be fun. But I found those things really boring, and I think I just really liked that set, and I think they should have done more with it because it was very beautiful, but they just wasted it big time. And that's the end of your movie. That's your big ending fight scene.
Oh yeah,
right.
No,
If that was like a fight scene in the middle of the movie, I'd probably be fine with it. But if that's what you're building up, and that's how your villain goes out, then yikes! Like,
well,
you gotta do more than that.
it really feels like in that moment the action is like secondary and not in a good way where it's like characters first and then action. It just feels like it's like it feels like you gotta put an action scene here because it's a comic movie, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it was building.
Yeah.
It's like right, we have this villain, we gotta take him out. It's fine if action the same way as with like Guardians 2. The reason I like because I feel like the action and maybe some of the story stuff is second to what the characters are going through. But even in this moment, the characters aren't going through a lot. Like it's just him trying to get Road back. He does, and then obviously he tries to save Pepper. Like it's not like a big dilemma. It's really quick. So I just felt like I don't know if there's stuff cut or whatnot, but I just felt like that end scene with Whiplash could have been so much better. Even just a bit longer, showing how he could be that powerful, taking out both of them. But really, it's pretty simple, and it's very anticlimactic. And I remember saying that the first time I saw it, and just when he lands, it's gonna be good. And it's like the whole scene. I looked on my YouTube to check. The whole scene is like 4 minutes, and it's like. And that's including the war. That's including the drones.
It seems like they had written this movie and they had okay we're gonna have a cool fight scene at like the racetrack. We'll have a cool one in like this garden party thing. I don't know what's happening here, but then they're like, okay, they got there and what do we do with a villain who just has 2 whips? Like, how do we make an interesting fight with that?
There's logic, and them flying and him missing.
It seems like they didn't have any ideas.
I
just
I like the racetrack thing. I think the car thing is bad, and I think how he gets taken out of his bag because Iron Man just wraps it around and punches him, and that's it. But I like the idea of, I think the setup tension builds of him taking out all the race cars, and he takes out their car, and you just see him coming, and he's swinging the whips back and forth. I think that it's a good tension building scene.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's alright.
Yeah.
I actually had a question. So Whiplash goes there to destroy Iron Man.
Yeah.
But he wasn't originally in the race.
No, but he was gonna be there, so I think he was gonna sneak in no matter where.
But he just knew he was out on the racetrack. I guess he could probably saw on TV, right?
That's why I think they said that when it shows that Stark replaced him. Yes, he'd have to be watching TV the entire time.
I was just wondering why
he
he knew Iron Man would be there because Iron Man wasn't obviously supposed to be in the race originally, but.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Well,
I guess
Stark Industries had a racer representing their company.
Oh, okay, so Tony
they were
Stark
meant
was
to
going to
be
be there.
Yeah, because the driver had the exact same thing, and there's that scene where Tony tells him the driver throws his helmet down. Oh man, oh my chance.
Classic.
What did you think about Justin Hammer too? You didn't talk
I
about
didn't
him.
like him.
Wow, that feels like a tailor-made character.
I
feel like you liked the ex-wife scene though, didn't you?
The ex-wife scene. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Which part when he sets it up, or like the
that was anticlimactic.
That whole scene.
Yeah, that's the point of it. That's the joke.
Yeah, I know. It's just I thought that was I
just feel like
very shitty and stupid.
When I look at us, I'm Tony Stark and you're Justin Hammer. I feel like he's very similar to the way you would be in that world if you were amazing smart. The way he talks, and he's like, I don't know,
I fucking love that when he's just bringing out all these weapons, and offering them in War Machines.
No,
I don't like them, and then
all of them.
I
like that scene.
I like that scene a lot. Yeah.
That was okay, but then I don't know. I think you're trying to impress these army guys when Iron Man's Tony Stark makes Jericho missiles and stuff.
So what about him do you not
like? You
like?
love these Jericho missiles.
Yeah, I know. He hit us in the group chat because the Infinity War trailer a couple months ago, and then he was like, "Why don't we just use Jericho missiles on these aliens?" He's just waiting to see these things.
They clearly discontinued these things because they're fucking
because he's not making them anymore. But why did you not like Justin Hammer?
I don't know, just his personality just irked me, and I just thought, every time I see him, I'm cringing, like, at the end on his
But, like, not in the way that, like, because that's obviously intentional, Luke.
I think it's kind of the point of him. He's like
he did.
I know what you
he's
mean.
a good actor. I think he delivered great, but just his character, like at the end when he's like walking on the stage and the music's playing and he's just doing his little like shindig. I'm like, this guy is just cringing. I can't look at him.
I get like that. There's a character in Hannibal who's like intentionally annoying, and I just it's well done, but I just fucking hate the character.
Okay.
I mean, it's like, well, you achieved your goal. I guess.
Hashtag save Hannibal.
I have to say, like in regards to like the fight scenes, I think that. Like that end scene with all of them in the garden, I think, it was completely quiet, and then you just have the hemorrhoids just landing down.
Hemorrhoids, yeah.
Be careful how you say that.
That's
the
what
hemorrhoids.
That's what Tony Stark calls them in the movie. It's like, we're defending a hemorrhoid invasion, Pepper.
Actually, I think I didn't catch it.
You didn't?
Oh, yeah. No.
Oh, that made me
He
laugh
quips
so
a lot,
good.
okay? There's
Wasn't
jokes
that something
I'm
that,
still
no, I guess Justin Hammer wouldn't have said that.
No.
Stark,
No.
But yeah, just like it was there was no score, no music or anything. It was completely quiet, and each of these hammer drones were just landing. It was absolutely fantastic. And then there's nothing, and then their masks drop, and they're just in sync fighting. I love that, and I thought it was opposite of anticlimactic. I thought it was like
super.
What about the fight though with Whiplash though? It's like 30 seconds.
It could have been a little longer. Like what was
5
it?
seconds.
Was it Ironmonger?
Yeah, but even Ironmonger had like they had a long fight, it's just the fight wasn't that good, I think, the action, but that went on for like almost 10 minutes. It felt like that whole sequence of him getting the suit to ending up on the tower of or the
he just like grabs his whips, grabs each of them, and then like stands there.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like they should have done the reverse. I feel like him with the whips on the racetrack should have been the shorter 30-second fight because he didn't have a full-on suit. Really, and then
it is kind of it's not the most well-made suit. He has a lot of open spots.
But Tony also only has like his suitcase suit,
which was sick. I lost my cool when I saw that. I was like, wow, this Mark IV is absolutely 4, yeah.
That's right from the comic books.
Yeah.
He used that on the animated series as well.
Really?
Yeah. And sometimes when people don't know Iron Man's Tony Stark, he has that briefcase and run around like
Superman style.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I didn't like Justin Hammer. That one, now that you mention it, the, what was the name of it? You just said it,
What are you talking about?
The
ex-wife.
Yeah, the ex-wife. I didn't like that joke. I thought, that's just such another cringing thing. Like, I feel like he was just, as he's putting out these weapons, he's just trying to think, like, you know what, I'm gonna call this the ex-wife right now. He hasn't called it that whole time, but I just thought,
I thought it was a good joke.
I did too.
Even, like, I don't understand why, like, the military probably paid millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars for those weapons, and
maybe this one was just a dud, though. Maybe other ones have.
Dud.
I imagine that's how it would, though, work in real life, that he would not be a comparator to Tony Stark if his stuff didn't work, right? It's the same thing. He built that droid that, like, or that armor that, like, broke that guy's back. That's who people theorize that they're referring to in Doctor Strange. When Doctor Strange gets a call about a guy with like a broken back or back problems, people put the timeline together and they say it's that guy in that the drone at the beginning. So that's trivia. But I think like the ex-wife probably has worked before, and then just when they needed it to in the scenes, like that's sort of like, oh, it didn't work because like he's not the greatest.
Because Justin Hammer's company also already had like all those drones.
Yeah,
right. Because that's kind of what the
work.
competition was about. It wasn't about Jericho missiles or guns. It was more about like having the Iron Man suit, having like this jetpack that also has all sorts of explosives.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like he was able to get the suit, the War Machine suit, if he was willing to exchange like these weapons and all that stuff. Like it was a deal, and then he would get to deck it out. I thought.
No.
Because the military had control of the suit, and they wanted to know what can you do for us to deck out the suit.
But he didn't get the suit after that. It was always planned of, hey, we got to go to somebody that sells weapons. Obviously, we're not going to go with Tony because he said he wouldn't help us, so they're going to him. It wasn't a trade like you give us weapons, we'll give you the suit. Well, that doesn't seem right. So I think they always wanted this one suit. So.
That being said, I just feel like he wouldn't have given them like really low end kind of like gear, and I feel like when he expresses it, this will blow up the bunker underneath the bunker. He just blew up. I mean,
that's what I mean. I don't think it's low end. I think it malfunctioned. Like it didn't work. I think it's like good gear. It's just it didn't work.
Hammer tech for you.
I think that's the joke. Yeah, it's hammer tech.
I tell myself like the way that it bounced off Mickey Rourke's chest, it just kind of I feel like he might have deactivated it. That's what I tell myself.
Okay.
Just
I'll
because
allow
he
it.
knew that War
I
Machine
don't
would
think
dish
so.
it out.
But what if that was against Iron Man? He's like, oh, I wish I put on ex-wife.
He probably like deactivated. You know, in the first movie, when
yeah.
Iron Man goes like this with his fingers to deactivate.
So while he was getting arrested, he deactivated it.
No, he did it right there. He used his fingers and did the thing like Iron Man does. Iron Man 1.
Okay. All right. Anything? Obviously, we'll talk about the villains throughout this thing. But anything like pressing to add on? Anything like that?
No.
I do have to bring up. My nickname was Whiplash's Yell because when he yells when his dad dies, that theater. I was erupted in laughter, and me and one of my best friends.
Me and Tyler looked at each other and laughed as well watching it just now.
It's so bad. Mickey Rourke going, nah! It's so misplaced. And watching that, when that happened, like, oh, I remember why people consider this like that's just like an omen for like, oh yeah, this is one of the weaker Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this because we couldn't really dive deep into it. The first Iron Man. Let's talk about Rhodes and the replacement of Rhodes.
Right.
So how do you feel? Because then you said you didn't really talk like I just said we didn't want to talk too much. Like you liked him, didn't like him. But how do you compare him to Terrance Howard in Iron Man 1, which we recently
it's a little bit different because I went into it this time like actually kind of thinking about the differences between these two. Because when I first watched these movies back in the day, it's not something I really noticed. Just I watched them a few years apart and wasn't really thinking about it. But I think I agree with you that. What's his name? Sorry, the guy who plays
Terrance Howard.
Terrance Howard. Yeah, I think their chemistry might be a bit better.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily the case later on. Like I think by the time Civil War is rolled around, I think those two are a lot better together. But in this movie, I'll agree that it seems a little misplaced. Even
he feels for me, he's just always, and I feel like he feels like this in Iron Man 3. It's funny you brought up Civil War. That to me is like one of the only times I feel like he starts like really working, or Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
but
it's hard for me because I haven't watched Age of Ultron or Iron Man 3 in some time. So
yeah,
I'll have a better opinion when we hit those ones.
So I feel like Iron Man 3, he's a bit better, but similar. I think for me, he just always feels very submissive. He never feels like he's on the same level as Tony as far as, like I said, with me, Terrance Howard always...
He's a lot more calm.
Yeah, the way he acted was just like, even though Tony's above him, you still won't want to mess with Rhodey, because he could not mess you up, but he's smart enough to figure out a way to take you out. Where the way Don Cheadle gets the suit is... That whole scene of the party scene, I'm not a big fan of for multiple reasons. One, the fight is not that cool with like the remix of Another One Bites the Dust is. Like it's like this weird thing. Rhodey's never been in the suit, so he's just controlling it pretty easily. It's the kind of ironmonger thing.
Yeah, I know it's
again.
weird because you see Iron Man in the first movie, and obviously he's working out the tech, so that's why it doesn't really work. But yeah, it's weird that he can just pilot this thing pretty damn well.
And fight and everything.
Yeah.
And
like keep up with Iron Man, even though he's drunk.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like, I just feel like he never feels important in this movie. He just feels like he's there. He's, to me, this mix of storylines. Like, you have the Rhodes storyline, the Tony dad storyline, and Tony trying to save himself with the dad, and then, like, the Nick Fury stuff. I feel like he's just one of the many, like, threads that's just kind of there and not really fleshed out. And I don't blame him for that, but it does make, whether it was the writing or the acting, it does suffer for it. And I don't think they have as good as chemistry as those two. And even then, he's better in Civil War. I never felt like that, though. I've always wanted to see...
It's probably something to do with, you're replacing this character and you're supposed to be like the same continuous character, so you maybe go for something a bit different, I guess. You know? It didn't really work. Like the scene when his introduction scene is the first one. His scene is in the Senate. There in the Senate, and I don't know, that scene doesn't have a whole lot of power. And I think his story is quite lame throughout. I really like the War Machine suit, and I actually liked that fight scene in his house. And I think I don't like the ending scene, but I still think he looks cool. He's a cool looking character.
War Machine's always had such a cool look.
But overall, like his story is, it's better than Whiplash's story for sure in terms of intrigue.
But his story, there's not much to his story. His story is just like, but Terrance obviously in the and this I guess this is a writing version, but Rhodey in the first one. It didn't feel like he had much of a story, but it did feel like he progressed the story. Where this felt like he should have had a story here, but it's just like, okay, he has to get the suit, he gets the suit, and then he's just same thing. He's kind of around. This whole thing about him being the flagship for this show-off for Hammer Industries, that doesn't really fit. Like, maybe that's it too. It's just the character feels like in that Senate scene when the senator's kind of bossing him around to not say stuff, like I feel like the guy in the first movie, that wouldn't have been him. He wouldn't have gone with that. Where he all the times feels like he's like, yeah, like okay. Even the guy, his army guy, is kind of like the guy above him is just like, we're gonna do this and we're putting that blah blah blah, and he's just like, yes sir. You know, like it always feels like he's never in control anytime. And then at the end fight, I don't like the beginning when he's just like fake drone McGee and he's just flying around for a while like fighting Iron Man, has no control, right? Because it's just, once again, he's not doing anything to progress the story. He's just there. At least in Iron Man 1, sure, he didn't have like an arc, but he's helped save Tony, right? And he helped Tony with the merger, and he does help him at the end, like get him this
they really seem like friends, you know, like old friends.
Yeah, this just kind of feels like I feel like this is more like business casual, you know?
Business casual.
And I do like the line though, when they do see him, it's a tip to the, or a hat tip to the audience, is when he walks in and Rhodey, he wasn't expecting to see Rhodey, and then he's like, oh, you're here, and then Terrance or Don Cheadle just goes, I'm here, deal with it, this is what's happening now, let's move forward. And it's like a fun little, like, I think they purposely put that line, because it cuts away right away, so they purposely put that line to be like, I'm here, let's deal with it, let's go along. So it's just like, okay, we're recasting.
Funny,
and I think it worked out. I still like Don Cheadle in the role, I just feel like I'm always missing something in these movies from Rhodey nowadays.
A little bit of heart.
Except for some reason, the crossovers he's good. I don't know why. Like in Age of Ultron, he has like these two funny really scenes, and I like him in Civil War, but yeah.
Taylor?
I definitely feel like, you know, the relationship between Terrance Howard and Robert Downey Jr. in the first film were just, you know, really powerful. Like, these guys, I feel like they went to kindergarten, elementary school, high school together. That's what it felt like. They bonded over some grievances and stuff, but I think that...
General grievances.
I think that, you know, it definitely... Looking back at it now, it definitely feels like it was a little bit of a struggle for the relationship, but as the film progressed for me, I feel like it definitely picked up and it definitely worked out. Like, I love the lines that Don Cheadle or Cheetah?
Don Cheadle.
Cheadle.
His dad like made Cheetos, like the snack food.
Yeah.
I wish his name was Don Cheetah. Don Cheetah.
So it's Cheeto?
Cheeto.
Cheeto.
Don Cheetah!
Like CHEETOH.
It's Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle.
Cheadle. Cheadle with a D.
Cheadle. Oh, I thought Toll. Oh, okay. Don Cheadle. So I think.
Yikes.
I think he did a good job as playing as War Machine and everything in this film. I liked his lines like, I was here first, get a roof, and all that kind of stuff. I thought, he has some good quips in this film.
Travis is not a fan.
Not a fan.
The fight scene though between him and Iron Man, I have to say, like, I think, if I was an Air Force pilot who is like recognized as being like top of the class in the Air Force, like, I feel like it would be easy for me to just hop into an Iron Man suit and just kind of figure out the pros and cons and just how to operate it.
The pros and cons.
Yeah. But I definitely think, leading up to that point, if there's ever a moment where Iron Man turned into a villain, it would definitely be that. I felt like when he just got pissed and he yelled at his crowd, and he just looked like this symbol that's supposed to protect the people of the United States just completely turned upside down into this symbol where you actually see and feel the fear in the crowd of this person in this armor. And I really like that change, because I think it added a little more to Tony Stark dealing with death and everything. But I think, in some alternate universe where Iron Man turns bad from that point on.
Alternate universe, okay.
Does that happen in this universe?
Has it not happened?
What do you mean?
I don't know, he's the guy that made Ultron, he kind of fucking wrecked the Avengers.
Yeah,
in Civil War, he's locked.
He didn't wreck the Avengers. That was
he
Captain
put
America.
No. He put his friends in jail, and this is one thing that I will say. I was talking about this with Emma when I was watching this. It's great to show, like, this is why I like Tony Stark, the character. He's a complete hypocrite. This movie starts with him saying, I'm never giving you these robots, this tech is mine, I am Iron Man, you're alone, I'm me, and then you look 5 years later, he's completely working with the government, he's putting his friends in jail cells, he's trying to get Captain America in jail, he's making them, like, sign laws to say that, they're heroes and they gotta do this and that, like, that's why, like, people, they can fight me all they want in Civil War, but he's 100% a complete hypocrite of a character. Like, look at him in this movie and look at him in Civil War. He is a hypocrite, and that's why he kind of is, that's their secret, Marvel. Maybe that's why they don't have the best villains, because Tony Stark's their best villain, you know? Like, in Ultron, he kind of creates that happen. He makes that antagonist. Same in Civil War. He's the antagonist in Civil War. I know you can go different perspective, but still, it's Captain America, Civil War. So he's the antagonist. So, like, if you look at this and you look at this, or Civil War, complete hypocrite.
I don't know. In the other movies, he's justified with his actions.
But but you don't think he's a hypocrite? With, like I said, at the beginning of this movie, he's talking to the government. I'll never work with you. This is my stuff. And then, now he's completely fine. He's working with Thunderbolt Ross.
He didn't want to work just with the American government in that sense. But, like, in this part, he wants to work under not just one government, but it's all these different countries of the world combining for the...
That's what the thing happened in Civil War, though, was that they couldn't go to a different country unless they got clearance. So it was still a whole UN thing as well.
He wanted to make everything work, not under really the UN, but under like all these agreements, like I can't remember the name of their...
The Sokovia Accords.
Sokovia Accords, yeah.
But wouldn't this just be the same of like, hey, you can come here, sign over, and you'll have your suit, you can get in it when we want you to, but you can't have it all the time? That's kind of the same thing they told the Avengers, right? Like, hey, you can be Captain America, but not all the time. We gotta say you can.
But he's not sacrificing his suit. He still gets access to it.
But how... But then in this movie, he says, you'll never have my stuff. How is that
he doesn't give him his stuff.
But now in Civil War, he does, because he's Iron Man. And Iron Man
he's not giving them his stuff.
But he still has to get clearance to be Iron Man. In Civil War.
No, he just has to get clearance to go to other countries.
No, he has to get clearance. Before they go to any attack, they have to get clearance.
I thought it was mostly before.
No, in Civil War
Ross made a point of saying, like, you are operating in other countries without proper, like, jurisdiction.
No, even when they go, he just goes to find Cap. He does it secretly, Iron Man. He doesn't tell Thunderbolt Ross. Mm-hmm. So, watch Civil War again. Complete hypocrite. Terrible, terrible person Tony Stark is. Trying to do his best, but you know what? Not always.
But a good character.
Yeah, good character. That's what it makes. I'm not saying he's a bad character, but
which side are you leaning towards? Like, are you a Captain America or an Iron Man kind of guy?
Oh, I'm always an Iron Man guy till the day I die. Even though he's a piece of shit sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you like Cap more.
Captain America's so goddamn boring sometimes.
I thought you end up liking Cap more.
I do, but
yeah,
but I don't. But if I'm going back, because we're reviewing Iron Man 2,
yeah.
These days I didn't like Iron Man. I thought he was boring. Or sorry, Captain America.
Oh, everyone thought it was. I was like the only big fan waving the flag.
I still prefer Iron Man though.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I wonder if you'll say that after we watch other movies again though, because Captain America has much better solo movies with Civil War and Winter Soldier.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if you will like any of these Iron Man movies more than those.
We'll have to see.
But
let's get back to Iron Man 2, how about? Because we just went on a
having mentioned
Civil
Captain
War
America,
Part 2.
I do like that part of Iron Man 2, though, when he, like, picks up the shield and
so
he's like, do you know what this is? And he's like, what does he say?
He's like, it's the perfect thing I needed.
Yeah.
And he just needed to fucking balance the beam.
Yeah, I thought that whole part, though, of, like, him figuring out the whole new elements and everything, I thought that was super cool. I like that addition, like... I don't know.
I liked it.
But the one thing I thought at this point, couldn't he have already done like the procedure to remove the stuff in there in his chest?
This thing's completely. I'll disagree. This part of the film's completely boring. This whole thing of like, oh, go find this fucking model I made 40 years ago, and the answer's there. What if someone just threw out that model town, and that's like. I hate when characters, like, this is why I fucking hate Dumbledore, when they always speak in riddles, like, it's just, like, get to the point.
I fucking hate riddles.
Well, but, like, I think the setup is meaningless, and I think, really, if you take out the plot of him potentially dying, it does not affect the movie at all. At all. This whole thing about him drinking and getting in trouble, you could still do that and just have him celebrating and just being a drunk, because in the comics, why not... reason I'll get into it. No, before you do, there's a classic storyline called Demon in a Bottle. It's it's one of Marvel's like deepest, darkest storylines, and Tony Stark becomes a huge alcoholic. He becomes such an alcoholic, he actually loses to a homeless man in a fight with the Iron Man suit. Like, that's how bad he is. And there's a classic cover. He's like, looks dirty, he's crying, there's a bottle there, and it's really, really emotional. It's a big arc and a big journey. This film just treats it like it's a joke. He's having like Wolf of Wall Street drinking times where he's like at the party. Like, it doesn't feel like it's that depressing at all. So they easily could have done this whole drinking storyline and this whole blood toxicity thing. I think it, like I said, what that whole creating the element, take that out. It doesn't affect the movie at all, other than giving him a triangle chest plate. Like, nothing happens, and that's why I feel like that complete thing of.
Don't you feel like it kind of changes, like, our perspective of what his relationship with his father is like, though?
I think they could have found a different way and not have it have been about make him watch these videotapes and make it something. Maybe just make it about him trying to find out more about, once again, Ivan Vanko and strengthening that, right? And then even him just having that message of him just saying, you're my greatest creation, that sells a relationship. He doesn't also have to be like, oh, by the way, there's something in this table here, you know? Like, I think that doesn't... you could find a better way to strengthen the relationship with the father than just this weird subplot with the blood thing. That never happens again. It's never... like you said, next movie, they take it out, he's fine, so it's like you always could have taken it out, so now, in retrospect, this seems completely nonsense the whole time. That this he's worried about this, but it's like, well, if you just take it out, you put it there, and that was the whole thing. They tried to play it off in Iron Man 3, like, oh, if he takes it out, he can't use his suits. Guess what? Of Age of Ultron, he has a bunch of them again. Like, this is it's pointless in this movie, and it's pointless in the whole continuity. And I really think it slows down the movie. The second he goes to Pepper's office and he's playing with that fucking thing that won't stop moving his strawberries, it's funny stuff, but it's funny stuff around this boring stuff.
Don't you feel like without that, there's no reason for Samuel Jackson to make his appearance?
He's trying to recruit him for the Avengers.
Yeah, but he wanted to instigate him to look into that new element stuff. I feel like Samuel Jackson knew that there was something Tony Stark had to look into.
But this is the same thing as like BVS. Why did they have to create a whole new list of reasons for Batman to go fight Man of Steel? Go fight Superman. When in Man of Steel, the reason's already there. He destroyed a city. Then BVS is like, oh, we're going to add 5 different things. Nick Fury is already pursuing him to be in the Avengers. We don't need another reason for Nick Fury to come talk to him. Like, he could be talking to him, and then Tony could bring up, hey, did my dad deport this guy? Like, what's the deal with Ivan Vanko? Because they have... their longest conversation is about Ivan Vanko. It's not about the blood thing. The blood thing, they just hit him with a shot. They're like, you're good for a while. They even in that scene just push it to the side. Like, yeah, whatever. Let's start talking about the Avengers. So I think you could have him in there, but it doesn't need to be about this blood thing. Like, it doesn't matter in the end of the day. Nothing happens.
I think the reason I like this stuff is because I think the opposition in this movie, obviously we talked about this earlier, was so weak, and instead it was more the journey of Tony and dealing with his own like issues. And so, I don't know, I enjoyed that storyline. I like that he had to watch that, or he didn't have to watch that tape, but he's kind of just stuck in his house, doing some research, trying to figure some shit out, and he's watching that video, and I guess, he has that message, and then he finds like that little like blooper reel at the end, and I don't know, goes off to find that diorama, and I really like that scene. I think that's really funny when he's talking with Pepper, and I think... because I always like their relationship, at least in this movie. I think it's pretty interesting. It's fun enough. So, I don't know. I think if you look at, I guess what the purpose of this movie is or what this movie is trying to do and, like, the development, it's all with Tony. And that stuff's always good. And obviously Robert Downey is always a great actor, great at portraying this character.
Yeah.
That's why I like that stuff.
I just think you could have cut some of it. And
I totally agree. I mean, I think
I
think they should have done a lot more with the villains, and I think they could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really could have paired up really well with his connection with his father. There's obviously a lot of interwoven stories that you could have gone into, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But what they did with Tony, I think, at least worked, and it was interesting. It was the most interesting part of this movie for me.
Well,
it was the most fun.
I think the story stuff was... I think where I was disappointed was we talked about in Iron Man 1 where him doing science stuff was really fun and cool, and we could watch that over the action stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where this, to me, they never really did that. Like, him just moving this crane throughout his house, like... nothing really, like him being the science stuff, that's when it did feel like, oh, boring science, you know, where in the first one, he's doing all this stuff, and I get it because the suit, there's more to experiment with there, but I wish they would have done more than, even the stuff when, okay, so he gets this model, and he examines it, right, and then he opens it up, and there's all this stuff around him, right, and he's like, oh, Dad, always leaving stuff for me. We don't know what that fucking is. They don't explain that. They don't explain, like, okay, maybe it's something to build a new element, but, like, they don't actually, yeah, I guess it would just be, exposition, but still, the way Downey can deliver it and the way they can write it is very quippy and very snappy. He just, like, opens this thing up. We have no idea what this means. Like, what does this mean? Did he find the key to fucking God? Like, but he's just like, oh, thanks, Dad. And it's just like, and then he's making this element. It's like, that's why I feel like they're, like, just skipping over science stuff that could be fun. Like, it's just got, like, I don't know.
I feel like they kind of, like, he brings it up as a diagram, and then he... like, I guess he sees something in it. He sees, like, what... I
want to know what that is!
But that's what he does. When he pulls away, like, all the buildings and, like, all the fucking random shit, and then it's, like, the code for, like, how you make that how you make that element.
I guess I just wish we had a conversation with Jarvis.
Because he talks about that. He's like, you know, in the center, I can't remember, it's like some weird planetarium thing, like building, and he's like, oh, that's the nucleus, and then all these pedestals or podiums, I can't remember what words he's using.
Yeah, I know.
And those are the electrons and the protons, and that's how you make this element.
I wish he was talking to Jarvis saying like, oh, this is what I was missing, this, and this, because we just kind of jump all over the place. I feel like it's not that well explained in the movie, to me at least.
I don't know, I think when he blows up the schematics, I mean, it even looks like a mini arc reactor in a sense, too, which gives him more credit.
Well, there's an arc reactor on that, like a bigger arc reactor in that diagram. That's what he picks up, like, as a kid in the background of the movie, right?
Well, I think that's supposed to be the same one from the first one that's in there.
Yeah, it looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think I have notes. I'm not sure what else.
Let's talk about Scarlett Johansson.
Because
that's an introduction of the character.
I don't know how I feel about her. I think this is her weakest performance. I won't give her a pass because it was Downey's first performance in Iron Man. I feel like she gets much better later on. They didn't know what they were doing with the character, and I don't know how much I liked the whole. I guess she's a spy, but I just feel like you would get someone below Black Widow's level to be doing this stuff. Like, I feel like she should be saving the world, kicking ass, not like Tony Stark's secretary. I get that he is important, but when we see movies down the line, like in Winter Soldier, they use spies, right, and everything like that for Captain America, and she's not a huge spy. She's Peggy Carter's niece. Where Black Widow, later on, they like raise her level. So I like her enough. I think I like that they establish she's a human. She can kick ass. I like her action scene, which is lots of fun and really well choreographed.
Yeah,
but
it is,
I think as a character, she's kind of flat because we don't learn anything, and it's just a lot of shots of her being beautiful, which Scarlett Johansson is. I think this is the best she actually looks in these movies.
Incredibly spicy in every single scene.
I think this is like
very distractingly beautiful.
The hair, 100%. She looks phenomenal in this. I'm not even talking about the suit. She does good acting. It's just, I don't know, something's missing with this character. I don't know what. It just feels rushed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they felt like they needed to introduce her in this movie before, because I guess it worked better to put her in obviously Iron Man as opposed to a Thor movie or a Captain America movie at that point in time. So I guess that's why she's in here, and she maybe feels like she has a lack of direction because they were just trying to introduce the character. But I mean, I thought she was fine. Yeah, I mean, she didn't really. I mean, she stood out on screen, but she didn't really stand out.
Yeah,
any
she's
sort
gorgeous.
Of, like, story element.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll agree with you there. I mean, yeah, I feel like there's not really much to say about her, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like, she should have, like, for the character as powerful and as diverse skills as she has, like, why is she doing this kind of like grunt work? You could say, right?
Yeah.
If I had a list out there of like my favorite actresses, like top 5, like
actresses. I thought we were getting to the
gorgeous actresses.
Gorgeous actresses. That's
so
just
like now, are you talking strictly looks or just like?
I thought we were getting to the hall pass.
They're
I am a hall pass.
The way they perform, and they're just like how like gorgeous they can really appear on screen.
Okay.
Like. In a very respectful way.
I know you're you're trying not to get any sexist comments in the YouTube thing.
Yeah,
you gotta talk about because she's hot. Hang on before
you
go.
Her in that suit. Ooh.
People can be attractive and great acting. You know what? Whoever you have a girlfriend or wife, you know why you probably talked to her in the first place? Because you looked at her, or a boyfriend or a husband, you looked at them and went, wow, they're good looking, or I'm attracted to them. That's how it always fucking starts for the most part. Even nowadays with Tinder, you look at that picture first, and you know you fucking do. You don't read. That's the reason why you swipe right on a picture. It's not the fucking description of the person.
I actually read the description.
No, but they don't give you. There's no Tinder with words like, oh yeah, she loves baseball. What's that? It's always about the looks first, and then it's what carries on there. That's the thing with Scarlett Johansson. I'll agree. Great actress as well. There's a lot of people that look great, maybe can't act.
Well, I sometimes like go to Starbucks and have a conversation with Scarlett Johansson.
What? Sometimes you do?
No, I'd be like, if there was ever some time like that was an opportunity, be like, I would ask her questions about Iron Man 2.
Oh God!
Really?
Not trying to get her number, not trying to like, I'll pay for your coffee. Like, so Iron Man 2.
Well, I mean, I'd probably like pitch in to pay for a coffee, but like I don't need to
pitch in. I'll pay $1 of a coffee.
You're not gonna call
that.
Yeah. No, she is the bill tonight.
Oh my God.
No, like I have a girlfriend. I don't need a Scarlett Johansson. But that being said,
I'll take one. I'm single, so
you can have Scarlett Johansson.
Thank you.
But
I'll give my girlfriend Scarlett Johansson.
I think like she's very pretty in this movie, and I think I think they could have probably introduced her with Captain America, probably the Winter Soldier. I feel like would have been a
Yeah,
good
but then she would have been around
introduction.
for Avengers.
Oh shit, you're right.
And they needed to hit that female demographic.
Right.
Because they didn't give Black Widow her own fucking solo movie. So if anyone says that's an offensive comment, you know it's true. Like, why does she still not have a solo movie? She's been around for how long? They all had other than her and Hawkeye, he ain't getting a solo movie. He can be dead. But Black Widow, I think she still deserves a go. Like, I don't know. If we got a fucking Ant-Man movie and I like Ant-Man movie, why have we not gotten a Black Widow movie yet? No reason why.
It could be really cool.
Especially with Wonder Woman out, like, there's no more like, oh, could a female superhero lead it? Like, ScarJo's a huge star. Widow's a huge character. Like, Marvel's a tank. Marvel's making fucking Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in a few years. They can make a Black Widow movie, make it successful. I don't understand why this hasn't happened yet.
Out of all the superheroes, I don't feel like she is a superhero. I feel like she's just really good as like a special like secret spy.
And there's 1,000 spy movies out there that are...
Yeah.
There's tons of spy... Well, I mean, there's
So
tons
boom,
of
you
spy
just make a
movies.
spy movie with Black Widow.
Yeah, like, what Winter Soldier is, they could easily... Cap really is very, like, minorly superhuman in that. You can just do...
You can easily
Yeah,
get it...
but I like it because
But then
of
you can
the
take
story.
a villain who isn't like some super powered like mega mech suit guy. You
Yeah.
just take some guy who has like power or...
And even if
something
it
like
is,
that.
she's taken those guys on before. She's taken on aliens, so it's not like she can not fight those people, right?
Yeah,
like,
but she always needs help with them, though. Taking out the aliens.
Always.
and stuff.
not always. And look at when we get to Avengers. She takes out a bunch of aliens alone.
Yeah, but she's got Hawkeye covering her.
Well, okay, we'll wait till Avengers. There's scenes of her just beating up aliens alone.
If it was
Who
a
did- who-
Hawkeye,
At the end of the day, it
Black
doesn't
Widow-
matter. It would be a good if they can write a
Well,
good
who is it in
story.
Civil War that she tases and knocks out at the airport scene again? Someone powerful. Someone more powerful than she.
I think it's Vision.
Yeah, she freaking takes out Vision!
No, it's not
This
Vision.
guy's like a gun!
No, not Vision.
Black
it's Black
Panther.
Panther. Still, Black Panther's a fucking king,
Yeah, but he trusted her, so...
and he's superhuman.
Well, then you play on that. You play that she has charisma and she can mess with people's minds and
But
get
at
them
the,
to trust her,
at the
right?
end of the day, even then, Captain America powers is just he's just enhanced speed.
Even like
enhanced-
Scarlett, you don't think like Scarlett Johansson couldn't just like as an actress like
And carry a
she
movie?
can carry.
If
a movie.
it would have to be like for me a story with Black Widow and Scarlett Johansson. I'd want it to be more going deep with Hydra kind of stuff. I think that would be really really cool.
and why couldn't it be then?
Well, if it did and I like it, then that's
It
good.
has to be that specific. It has to be about Hydra. It has to be this, or I'm not liking it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know what else they could really pursue. Like how she got set up in a situation in Avengers where she's tied to the chair with that random dude talking to her. Or
But
something.
how?
I don't
But
know.
how? I feel like sorry, and I like Ant-Man, but I feel like her story's gonna be much more interesting than Paul Rudd being a criminal who's just like bank heisting stuff.
I don't know. I like
Oh,
Ant-Man more.
You haven't seen the Scarlett Johansson movie then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't understand. I really, really don't. Like, yikes.
But that being said, she is awesome. I like her in movies adjoining to another hero.
Okay.
I like her in this movie.
I want a
One
solo
more,
movie.
but, yeah.
I want a solo movie, and then if it bombs, then we just don't do it again. But I don't think it would bomb. Marvel's pretty good.
Yeah, but I feel like they're smart in the sense like I mean maybe we could do it, but maybe we should wait so we don't kill any hype for Infinity War.
I don't think that's it. I really don't think that's it. I think they were worried about making a female superhero movie. I think now is the time after Wonder Woman. Captain Marvel comes out next year or something like that. Like,
You don't
now's the
feel
time.
like she was on the same tier as Hawkeye in Disney's eyes?
No,
No.
I feel like she's more important because was introduced first, and she's the only female character in the Avengers, like the only main one. And it's a big demographic. That's why my prediction too, in Infinity War, not a single main female hero will die because they do not have enough females. We only have like 3 or 4. We have like 80 dudes.
Nebula.
80 dudes.
Okay, yeah, Nebula, Gamora, Captain Marvel.
Well, Nebula will
Scarlet
probably
Witch.
die.
What? What? Oh, you think Nebula will maybe die? Yeah, but is she more a woman now, or is she just a robot? So that's kind of a
Yeah,
pass.
She's off doing Jumanji anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I talk about Black Widow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, and this is the thing. I think Scarlett Johansson, no matter who would have in this role, wouldn't have made it a great role because there's nothing to do here.
No.
I think ScarJo did a good job with what she had here.
Yeah.
She's great. She's gorgeous. She's funny when she needs to be. She's a knockout. So.
That scene when she's in the car changing and Happy is like driving and she's like eyes on the road.
When he,
He's
like,
like
moves,
sorry, yeah.
And her hair, I love her hair. It's all big and curly. This is the best look of ScarJo.
The best look. So compared to like short red hair, the blonde hair, and then this is the best.
I think anything with the red hair. Maybe I'm a little biased, you know, if people know my taste, but
Yeah, I agree. She's got the best hair.
You know, the red plays off Iron Man's red, and it just makes
I don't think it does.
Little hot rod red.
Little hot
No,
rod
it's
red.
not hot rod
Hot rod red.
Because we didn't talk about him at all, and I don't think either of them at all last.
Oh,
Well, we didn't. We didn't talk about Coulson, and we didn't talk about Happy Hogan.
Coulson's the most boring character in the world.
Wow. I really like Coulson. I always like his fun quips. I like his thing when he has like the back and forth with Tony and everything like that.
No, he's not
I've
that
always
bad. I
liked
just think he's
Coulson.
like. I just don't think I've ever seen him do other more than one face.
What? I guess, but that's his face. It's, you know.
That's his face.
I like his back and forth. One thing that I will bring up, which is a good maybe conversation piece to have for this in the retrospective, is so he made a joke. I don't remember how he worded it, but he made a super nanny joke to Iron Man. Do you guys know what super nanny is?
It's a show, isn't it?
It's a show.
Yeah.
Where they have a
Did-
nanny
Did you
who's
know?
really good
You
at
didn't know
cleaning
before he said
things.
that though, right?
I didn't know that actually.
Okay, so this
It's one
was
of
a
my
really
favorite
popular show when this... Shut up. This is a really popular show when this movie came out, and it's about British nanny, and, you know, she was always after these rotten kids and everything. This was the thing, though, when he said it, and he just said something like, don't do this, or I'm gonna make you watch... Oh, he said I would tase you, make you watch hours of Super Nanny, which, yes, we got the internet, so you can always go up and look at it, but when you look at IMDb page, you're not gonna get this joke, and I am gonna try to watch for that more in these movies, how many jokes, especially in the Iron Man ones, Cap's in the past, Thor's there, but how many of these ones that are in present day in New York have these jokes about the time, because that joke for me, I had to think about what is Super Nanny. I'm like, oh right, it was that show, and I actually really liked that show. It was kind of fun. But like, I had it for a second, had to think about it, and it is one of these things when you, with a lot of the MCU humor, I'm gonna look out for more to see is a lot of this gonna be too dated in the future. Like when my daughter watches this, like, what? Why would she laugh at Super Nanny? You know, like, is this gonna be? Like for some of the comedy is just gonna get worse and worse as it goes along.
I thought he meant like watch me play Super Nanny, as in he was referring to himself actually.
True, but I feel like they were definitely making a joke about the TV show.
Well, I didn't get that at all.
Because I think I don't think it was him playing. I think the line was him making him watch hours.
Yeah,
of
I thought
Super
they were
Nanny.
talking about the TV show.
Yeah, so I think
Oh.
watch. That's 10 years. People aren't gonna show that to a kid now, or show that to like when I watched it. I was, I don't know, 16, probably 15, 16, and I got it. But a 15, 16-year-old now is not gonna get that.
I feel
and
like
that joke's not funny anymore.
I feel like they're dating their jokes a lot better this time around. Like if you look
like
at some
in
of their
current
movies,
movies.
like I feel like.
Well, I feel like
my
they're making
example
less
is,
jokes
like-
with pulp culture references.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean,
or something like Star Wars.
a good example I'd say is like Guardians of the Galaxy, where its jokes are, yes, it's on like things from a date and time, but they're very iconic things that everyone will know. And I feel like that's something they probably caught on to, was that maybe we shouldn't date
Use
this because
Super
we
Nanny
want
jokes.
everyone. Yeah,
Well,
Super Nanny jokes.
I mean, the thing Guardians, it's like in alien planets and stuff.
Well, I
like
think
that.
some
It's
of
different.
like with the soundtrack and stuff too,
Yeah.
right?
Soundtrack and like all the references to certain like the actors and like celebrities that Star-Lord's
Yeah,
referencing
yeah,
and
Poppins
stuff.
and shit.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Footloose.
Mary Poppins, yeah, and that's why I brought up like in Homecoming when Spider-Man does the Walker thing, right, with Giant Man. Like I think they are, which we'll keep an eye on and see if they do that more. If there's more jokes like this, because when I hit them, I'm like, oof, that's not gonna work in quite a while. It's just gonna like poor Coulson. He's gonna get less funnier and funnier as the years go on to these characters, and they're gonna have a bunch of Dylan Musts saying it's boring.
Bunch of Dylan Musses.
And then
My fantasy.
Happy. I always like him, you know what I like John
Happy?
Favreau, Happy Hogan.
Oh, I forgot that was his name.
Oh yeah, I like Jon Favreau. Obviously, he did a great job directing the first one. I think he does a good job directing this one. I think it's all mandated. Like you got to put Black Widow in here. You got to put, and maybe he chose to, but I feel like the Avengers stuff is quite a bit of you got to do this, you got to do this, and then yeah, I like both those characters.
Yeah, I think he fills his role.
Yeah.
He's funny enough.
Yeah.
I think Happy is just, as all my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe, I think he's definitely like a good like favorite of mine. He's just, you can always like fall back on
Is he
him.
above Captain America?
Oh God.
Wow.
Please, just don't even answer.
You know, at the end of this whole retrospective, when we rate our characters, we'll find out.
That's a new one. I didn't know we were rating our characters. Well, we're going to make a top 10 MCU characters?
That'd be, that'd be an idea.
I think we should do top 10. Well, I guess.
I'll do top 20. I'll do all of them.
Best fight scenes.
Right.
Well, I was going to say,
characters.
and then top 10 side characters. Because I feel like none of those side characters are going to, well, for me, I don't think Jensen in the Cave is going to make it on my top 10.
Jensen.
He might make it in my supporting characters.
Jensen. Rip Jensen.
Do we have any other big notes, or should we get to our minor
Well, there is, your Stan Lee cameo, as per usual.
Yeah.
You said you didn't like this one.
Well, again, I don't like when he plays famous people, because it messes up with this whole weird storyline of him being a watcher, but then again, you just say
What
that...
was he in this again?
He's he's
That was our number one.
Larry King.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like Larry, but then again, your theory is just like he's dressed as Larry King and he's not actually Larry King. And I am going with that.
I have a couple of quick notes here. So, you did mention it before, but I love that scene when Tony's in Pepper's office and he just throws those strawberries and on the floor. I don't know, I thought that was really funny. And then I just have a quote here, so a classic Spider-Man retro style, but drop your socks and grab your Crocs, it's about to get wet.
Wow.
Great quote. I can't remember when he said. I think that's actually in the park scene.
Oh, in the park scene?
I think so. Maybe it's in the party scene. It's a Tony Stark line.
It's somewhere.
It's a fun line.
Is that all the notes you had? Were those two?
Yeah. Oh, we've talked about other stuff. So.
Okay, Ted, did you have any other notes?
We're doing a final thoughts, though, right?
No. Yeah,
No.
but this is not the final thoughts.
Notes.
Well, usually you write them down, so I'm going to say...
A note is typically a thing written down.
Yeah.
I don't have any written down in my head.
Oh, that's because there's nothing in there. So.
Oh, not right now. Strawberries.
Not right now.
Okay, then I'll quickly go. I like the intro to Down to It, that whole Stark Expo, the dancers and everything like that. What I don't like is his speech is awful. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to it. The way they mix the crowd sounds, and he's just like, oh, no one said, Uncle Sam be kicking back, drinking samosas with fucking world peace, right? And the crowd's like, yeah, woo! And then, he makes a joke and he says, and the crowd, hey, ha ha! It's super fake, it's super cheesy. And, listen to it again, please. YouTube it. What he's saying is that's the most Tony Stark he feels in all these movies. It's really poorly written, how I'm talking. It's a very poorly written speech, and it feels very awkward the way he delivers it. And weird. It always, because I remember when I saw him, this could be a big speech, and it's really weird. And just a phoenix rises from the ashes, and it's what's going on here? Are we fucking church time? I don't know.
Church time.
I just put Justin Hammer's great. I feel like you get the vibe that they know each other for a while. Once again, I love that he calls him Anthony. It's just perfect.
It kind of caught me off guard the first couple of times. I'm like, who's Anthony?
Elon Musk makes a quick cameo in this movie.
That was really weird.
Racetrack, yeah. And then they just move. It's what the fuck?
Yeah, very bizarre.
I love... I think where I love Hammer the most was the scene in before the racetrack when he has the reporter with him. I can't remember her name that Tony had the relationship with last time. Yeah. And I love the line when he's like, she's doing a spread on me, and then Pepper's like, she did a big spread for Tony, and then Tony, maybe my favorite line delivery ever. Tony, Robert Downey's ever done. He looks over, he's like, and a big story too, and he's just drinking, the way he delivers it, and a big story. It's fantastic. And then when they sit down, Justin Hammer's just we're kidders, we kid, we kid each other. I love how awkward it is. He's great. I just want more of Justin Hammer, who they changed, because in the comics he's a 6-year-old dude, so.
A 6-year-old?
60-year-old dude. Yeah,
he's a kid with massive weapons.
That person that replaces Ivan Vanko in the jail cell, there's a moment...
Is that a wrestler?
I don't know. There's a moment where Taylor's laughing, I don't know why, but there's a moment where when Downing is walking to the jail cell, they have him in the back and he gets a photo taken of him. He has a big beard and long blonde hair. Everybody for the longest time thought that was Thor. Thor was gonna camp, and then it was just a fucking inmate guy.
Yikes.
Why are you laughing there, Taylor?
I feel like those two cops or whatever that broke him out, they did a shitty job. They're 100% getting caught.
All the security, though, does a shitty job. This prisoner's walking down the thing, and he goes, hey, and then Vanko comes in, and I'm you don't do that. Wherever he is, awful. I think the best scene that Tony Rhodes has is the scene where Rhodes comes to him and he's drinking the first time, and he's just in the dark room, and he helps him put the arc reactor back, and it's just, that was really good because he was talking, and that was the first time they talked about you can't do this alone, and it's a good scene, and then they beat over the head later. Yeah, I went over to the party scene, was not a big fan of the party scene. I like the, oh yeah, how do I pee in the suit, just like that. That was,
It got the job done.
it was, yeah.
I thought it was interesting that this is, as far as I remember, I know there was the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, but this was the only time we ever really hear, like, the F word solidly dropped and, like, bleeped out in the Marvel movie, I'd say, right?
Wait, what is it?
Where is it?
Because the senator, when Tony Stark's saving you, is like, F you, Mr. Stark, F you. I feel like they've really kind of cut back on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'd have to, we can look out for that. I just don't think you saying it's solidly dropped the F-bomb with it being bleeped.
It's just like
is
a
not
clear,
the same.
like, beep you, Mr. Stark, beep you.
Beep you.
I guess. Do we feel, if you didn't watch the end credits scene of Iron Man, how is Fury's setup in this when he comes and just finds Tony in the diner? Because I feel like if you have not seen the end credit scene, which granted probably most people did because like it was the talk of the town, but it's just weird that this guy just comes up and then when they're sitting down they're talking about the Avengers. Like honestly it was just a quick scene of like, hey, do you want to join the Avengers initiative? But like if you had not seen that, you'd just be like, where did this come from? I feel like if you watch it, be like,
yeah, it's kind of a
something?
strange thing. You can't really like assume. I mean, you can't assume that everyone's watched like your previous movies anyway. But it's strange that they would assume everyone's seen like a post-credit scene, which seems like a little more obscure thing.
Then.
Especially people who don't like go on the internet and look up reviews and people talking about the movies that they just saw. They just go to see a movie and then that's it. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
especially for people like who are going to an Iron Man movie. Like personally, like before MCU, I knew who Iron Man was, but I didn't really know what the Avengers were. Like I didn't read the comics, I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
I didn't know Iron Man was part of the Avengers.
I just
didn't know who Nick Fury is, right?
Yeah, I just feel like they don't do a good job. Like just a little bit of like reintroduce. Like you don't even know that's Nick Fury before. Like you don't really hear a name drop. Like they just are just talking in the diner. And I actually hate the way Black Widow's revealed to be Black Widow. That she walks up and she's like in her gear. It's like, well, first of all, why is she in her gear? And second of all, once again, it's just to me like, why is she?
That's her. Those are her pajamas.
Well, to that scene, it just shows me like why is she still here? Then like she's clearly gotten everything she needs on Tony. So, and then there's that continuity we talked about in Hulk where clearly the first line out of Downey's mouth is like, I'm not joining your boy band, which is a funny line, but then what was he talking about in Hulk, that end credit scene? Remember when he's like, we're putting together a team, and then here he's like, I'm not on your team. He doesn't join the Avengers till the Avengers, and it's just like very strange.
Weird. Yeah.
One of the very few slip-ups. This and the color of Thanos' skin that the MCU has. If you look at Thanos' skin in the trailers for Infinity War and the end credit scenes.
But I feel like he's typically in like a dark
Yeah, it's just the lighting.
spaceless void, and now
Thanos?
Yeah.
No, there's one where he's in a bright room with his gauntlet. And he's really purple, and now he's like.
You got me there.
Yeah, I got you. So this is my thing when he's watching that video of his dad, and his dad goes, "Oh, like the technology of my time holds me back. I know you're gonna figure out my greatest creation is you." What if Tony just became a boxer?
I don't know.
Well, so this.
What the fuck kind of question is that? Like, what am I supposed to say to that? I don't know. That would change everything.
I hate
we wouldn't have
movies.
this universe.
I hate movies when they do this where it's like, at this age, I'm sorry, I get it, Tony's probably a smart kid, but he's 6'7". You don't know he's going to be a mega scientist like you were. That's not something you're just born with, and I just hate that assuming of like, you're going to figure this out. What if he was a world-class boxer, he watched this video, and he's like, what the fuck is my dad talking about? Like, he chose this moment to talk to him about science. Like, it would be different if this video happened, if he recorded when Tony was a teenager.
Well, maybe that diorama then, maybe it wasn't strictly the diagram for an atom. Maybe it was meant to be very interpretive, and it had a lot of things. Like maybe there would be like certain boxing glove, like
maybe Tony's
that he
a
would have seen
robot
within the buildings. Yeah, maybe he's a robot.
I think when you're a genius, like billionaire, and you can create this whole company with awesome like technology, I think he probably is able to identify like, you know, my son is very good with Legos. I'm sure this might.
Legos weren't around back then.
He could have had his own set of Legos.
Legos weren't around back then.
Yeah, but they didn't call him Legos. He made his own Legos.
Yeah, but
for
everyone plays with Legos. That doesn't mean everyone's a super scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can tell by the things they build, though. Like, if some kids build, like, good things with Lego, you're like, this could be a future Tony Stark. If other kids just build this shit out of Lego.
Just my thing is...
This shit out of Lego.
Just my thing is my...
I feel like that's what most fathers are thinking. The fuck is this? It's a piece of shit.
His dad says, like, this is the future. And, like, if Tony doesn't become a scientist, then, like, nothing happens. It's just my thing. Like, Howard really just leaves up to chance. Like, I hope my son's smart. Waka waka. Like, if he's not, then, oh, fuck me, right? Like,
do you feel like what you are doing with your life is it works well thematically with what you built as a young Lego construction worker?
I think so.
He was just broken on the floor.
I need to ask my parents again too. Like, Mom and Dad, when I was little building my Legos, did you guys see like in 50 years or like 20 years?
50 years.
20 years. Am I at that like the equivalent like where I should be in my life based on when I built
You
this
should ask
Lego?
them that.
Like, no, you surpassed
record
us. They'd say, no, you surpassed us. We thought you'd be dead much sooner.
Well, that would be too.
My parents would be like, you are a massive disappointment.
My parents think I'm great. I love the fruit stand scene when he's just like, "Are you Iron Man?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "We believe in you." just
I
good
don't
scene.
remember that.
When he buys the fruit, the strawberries and everything.
Oh,
from the guy,
right.
it's like, "Are you Iron
And then
Man?"
he's just like gone.
Yeah, we believe in you.
Yeah.
Just good scene. Really weird scene of Hammer getting his guards to take Ivan's stuff, and he's just like, "Take his shoes," and then he's just like, and just the stuff when he's like, "How does it feel to get your stuff taken from you?" I like Hammer, but that scene's just kind of really boring and pointless.
Yep,
It's like
I
get
agree.
it.
Takes his fucking bird too.
And then that's not my bird. And then two things. They've retconned this now, but the little kid that Iron Man saves is Peter Parker. That is so the part where he has the Iron Man gear and he's going like this, and there's a drone lands and it gets him inside. Yeah, they've said that there was a theory for years that was Peter Parker. Obviously, it was not true because they didn't have the rights to Peter Parker. But when they're promoting Homecoming, they said yes, that was Peter Parker. So they retconned that, and Iron Man saved Peter Parker. So,
No shit, really?
Yeah, Holland said that, and I think either Feige or the director, like they've talked about it. So
They should like alter the credits in this so it actually
No.
says little boy is Spider-Man.
Tom Holland.
little boy is Spider-Man.
Well,
Spider-Man's not an actor.
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker's not an actor.
Well,
He's a
change-
fictionary character.
We'll remove like Jimmy as little boy.
Well, Jimmy.
And put Jimmy as Peter Parker.
Or you put Peter Parker, Tom Holland.
Or you know what? Just ignore it. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then my last thing is I like all the Pepper stuff and Tony stuff as usual. I feel like their big kiss is a little anticlimactic. I don't know why. I feel like it wasn't placed well. I feel like there's just many times where there felt like there was tension, but I think because the way they shoot it, you just know what's coming. Where there's just other times where it felt like, oh, why are they going to kiss? Is this going to be it? Where this is like, okay, this is definitely it.
Right.
So that was just my little thing. It's always been like, I remember seeing the theater like, oh, I can't wait when they finally kiss because Iron Man was ballsy. They didn't kiss at all in the first movie, and then when it does happen here, it's a little predictable. So yeah, just a little note from your
I feel like I didn't really talk about Pepper much, but I liked her again in this movie.
She's
I'm
the
not a huge
CEO.
fan of the actress necessarily, but I think the character is fine enough.
This is
and
her
I
one good role.
I like how she works with Robert Downey, I guess.
Yeah,
They're
good
fun.
chemistry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fun to see.
But yeah, she's just the CEO in this. She doesn't do much. She's just go around like, you stay safe, Tony, and like,
You stay safe.
yeah, and trying to get him not to sleep with Black Widow. You know, there's that. And
Yeah.
the other thing I hate, why does Black Widow have? I get it because I know why. It's just a dumb question. Like when Tony's looking for her, she has these lingerie photos. I get to like, oh, so we can like get involved with Tony, but Tony was already like ready to jump on this girl. So like, I don't think having Scarlett Johansson, like, I don't know who wrote that in. Like, we need story reason why ScarJo's gonna have a lingerie.
No,
shoot
it's
with Black
simply
Widow.
the director wanting to, get her in some lingerie.
So stupid. Yeah, Iron Man 2, final
Iron Man
raise. I'll go.
How many suits was it again?
64, 63, 64.
I don't know what. I don't know. I'm not. You guys have
You're
no
not doing the
fucking record.
suits?
No. I don't know. Yeah. So like I said, some good parts, some bad parts. I sounded a bit more negative, and I think it's warranted. I do think this is one of the weaker MCU films, but I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's a good watch. I think it's still just a good adventure of Iron Man. It's another. It doesn't hold a candle to the first one to me. I do like the third one more. I like lots of his team ups more, but this is just another. Much like comics, some of them, and the way this is very much like a TV franchise or a TV series now. The way this franchise works, it's like another episode. This is one of the episodes that was like, it was just all right. It was fun. I had some good laughs. Weak villain, weak story, some stuff you easily could have cut. Too much forceful of the Avengers stuff. I don't think you really needed it. And if you are gonna do it, find a better way to work it in. Make Black Widow an actual character, like in Winter Soldier. Kind of give her an arc. Make Nick Fury not just kind of like a cliff note. I'm giving this. I don't know. 6 birds out of 10. I don't think it's. I think it's just that. It's a solid. What's that? Just like a C. I think that's it. I don't think it's a fail. I think it's. I think I gave. Oh, I actually don't want to spoil that, but like I think it's lower pack of the Marvel movies, and I guess that's what I mean. I can say it's the worst, but I never say that with those because to me, if you say something's the worst, that's like a failing grade. And this is just like a decent time, and I still watch it over. It's not a movie where I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna watch this again, like some other really terrible comic book movies, you know, like Ghost Rider 2 or Elektra. You know, this is still one that, hey, when I'm doing my MCU retro or my MCU, you know, binge, I throw it in. I don't skip it. So
don't skip it. How could you skip it? I myself, I think this movie's decent. I'd probably rate it a bit lower than I gave the first one, but not by like too much, because I really like the Tony stuff, like from start to finish, and I like Pepper Potts in this movie, and you know, Black Widow, she's kind of dull, but I'd still like seeing her in there and stuff like that. And then, you know, Justin Hammer, he's okay at the time, and fucking Whiplash is god awful, but you know, it's fine, I guess. It happens.
Is he worse than Blonsky?
Yeah.
How?
Probably.
Though Blonsky at least had a motivation. Like, he had some motivation halfway through this movie, and then he's just like, eh.
Wait, what are you trying to say? Are you saying that Blonsky...
I'll never convince you.
What you said sounded like you were trying to say Blonsky's worse than Whiplash.
No, other way around.
I don't have anything redeemable about this character. This character is garbage, so I'll give the edge to Blonsky.
Wow.
I still think that's a worse movie, but yikes. No, yeah, I mean, this movie's okay. I don't know. It's not like it's super. The thing is, like, these Marvel movies, they evolve and they change, and I think they're going in such a. I feel like they're getting more unique and they're going in a certain direction, whereas these movies feel kind of simple in retrospect.
This one feels very. Yeah, it does not feel very unique at all, and it does, like, I think you talk about the Disney stuff. I do feel it is a little less gritty than the first Iron Man. It's a bit more shiny, you know.
Right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know how to exactly you describe like the quality that Marvel movies have these days, but it's even just the way they shot, like the way they look on screen. You're always intrigued. There's something like interesting to look at, whereas that I don't know isn't necessarily the case with these earlier movies. And we didn't mention it at all, but I'm not really a fan of the soundtrack of this movie. It's boring. I don't like AC/DC, so I'm not really intrigued by that at all. I
don't think I've ever met a person that just doesn't like them.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they're just like the most basic rock band of all time. Like, there's nothing. I feel like there's no substance to AC/DC, so that's why, like, it fits for the Iron Man character and like just like this, you know, rock character, you know, hardcore, whatever you want to call it,
hardcore
energy. But yeah, I mean, none of us really brought up the soundtrack. It just kind of happens. You don't really think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor has the CD here.
That's why I didn't mention it, because I actually brought it.
You brought the CD. Such a good soundtrack that you didn't even mention it, hey?
Well, because they could see it, you know.
What if they're listening?
You know, some people don't see it because they're just listening to the podcast version.
That's very true.
Anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say about this movie. What do you think, Taylor?
You know, I very much enjoyed this movie. It's hard for me because I like the first one a lot, but I like this one, I'd probably say, like, at the same level, but for different reasons, different developments and different scenes. Like, it was just the first one had that dark grittiness and just awesome scenes that I really, really enjoyed. But this one, like, it had its moments and fight scenes that just really amped me up and just, like, you know, I gotta keep making that Iron Man armor at some point. And I just think...
How's that going?
I'm still working on it. I need more
Legos.
I need more cardboard. But I think, you know, it's a great movie, and I liked how it was basically the last of Iron Man before Avengers. It just got me pumped up to see, like, okay, what's happening now? Like, he's got a new suit, a new element, and, like...
New element, yeah.
He's literally just rocking it as Iron Man, so he just, like, in Avengers, he's gonna be primed and good to go. So, I mean, I think I would give it a very good 8 birds out of 10.
8 birds.
8 birds.
Nice.
The other thing you did say, Dylan, which this is why I hope he does survive Infinity War, and I still think there's, even though they use him in Civil War, they use him in Homecoming, I think there's lots of room for an Iron Man 4, and when I bring that up, let's be like, yeah, I'm fine. I really want Iron Man 4, because I think there's lots more to get with Tony after everything that's happened, and plus to see what an Iron Man 4 could be in this new kind of MC, right? Because they always try to do some sort of theme, like a heist movie or a space movie, this or that. Like, I'd like to see what they would do with just a full-on Tony movie now. So maybe he doesn't even want that. So we'll see. But I'm hoping there's an Iron Man 4.
I'd be down for that for sure.
So, you know what else you should be down for is all the places you can find us. Where is that, Taylor?
Ooh, well.
Good transition.
once you're done making your own Whiplash suit to take out Tony Stark, you can go onto the internet.
I think only Dominatrix are making that suit.
Oof.
The triple wolf. That's what you want.
Yeah, you know, with your data, because we're data worthy. If you want to save your money and not use the data, then donate it to us.
I don't know if I like the data worthy tagline.
We're so data worthy.
It's just so strange.
I turn on my data sometimes, and I'm gonna click on my podcast app and check out what Geekverse has been up to.
My dad always turns
What
me
is
on.
Geekverse been up to?
Like all those hunka boys. Look at this. Look at
Boy,
this.
they are boys. They're not men for sure.
No, definitely.
But yeah, you want to go on Facebook, and in the search bar on Facebook, you want to type in Geekverse Space Podcast. Space, not the space word, but the space bar. You got to tap it once, and then it'll be like making your dreams come true. Because you're going to find this and so much awesome shite all over our Facebook page with links to many different things, which Travis will say.
GeekFirstPodcast.com is the most important because you go there, it has all our links. Go to our social
Everything.
media, Facebook, Twitter, because we keep you updated on schedule. We keep you updated on shows. By the time this releases, I'm pretty sure that Gauntlet is back, so there's going to be lots of stuff popping off there. We got lots of specials all the time. If you like this or other shows like Netflix and Fail or Spider-Man Retro, which hopefully will be back.
Hopefully.
But even then,
I'm craving some spicy.
there's for sure some Patreon episodes up there already that you could be getting. We don't know when that show's coming back. You could be getting those years early at this
You
point.
honestly could, yeah.
Dropping $1, dropping $5. If you like the Marvel Retro and you really want to jump forward, jump ahead of other people, go to Patreon, drop $1, drop $5. You're going to get that stuff early. $1 gets you half of our content. $5 gets you every single little thing. And yeah, why spend $5 on a coffee you're just going to consume just quickly? It's going to add calories to your waist belt. You don't need that. But you can get hours of content with us while working out, at the gym, running.
Yeah.
So giving us that money will make you healthier. But anyway.
Wow, that's fucking wild, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. But no, it's just to support us. And if you can't support us that way, we understand. Please like or subscribe or review, whether it's YouTube,
Tell your friends.
iTunes, SoundCloud,
Podbay.
Podbay, definitely. But
Fucking Podbay.
please drop a review, a like, and subscription, because if you can't give us any money, that's completely fine. We get it. But those things help us a lot. Those help us spread out there and find new fans, that help us make new shows, that helps us get, truthfully, income for new gear and new shows. So thank you very much for tuning in. Have a marvelous day.
Time.
See you in the post-credits
scene.
Where'd you
Yeah,
go?
I guess marvelous time doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
Because they just had a marvelous time with us.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was halfway there.
You were?
I didn't know which way we were really going with, and then when you drifted off, it totally...
Okay, blame me again. I'm always the
I
bad
never know which
guy.
way I'm going.
Yeah.
Penis.
Wow. Hang on, let me quickly check my hair just to make sure.
Slow hand roll.
I got to quickly check my hair.
Oh, you know, when you get the new haircut, you gotta.
You got a new haircut, eh? Right on.
I don't know where
Wow.
where all this back and side hair go.
It was stolen.
Stolen.
Someone in the middle.
People that work at the BC
Someone in the middle of my night.
stealing
Ah!
So
Whoa.
Travis
Whoa,
fans.
the Hulk's here. Blonsky's here.
the Ponsky fucking.
Do we have anything to talk about before?
You are a one-man army.
What?
That's what it says on that game.
Okay, ready?
Sure.